Over these past few weeks, one of the things that I've noticed of just working towards your goals overall, whether that be the gym or business, whatever it is, consistency is one of the hardest things to get over. And it's not really because the work is hard in itself, but you may have lost some of that motivation. You're in a rut, if you will. I was in a rut the past few weeks ago. I would usually get up around 4, knock out 3 miles every single day. And 2 weeks ago, up until today, I have not only not woken up at 4 a.m., but have almost neglected the gym entirely. My schoolwork has also diminished a lot. My production overall in school, business, just working out, just everything that I thought was productive in my life was completely gone. It was out the window, and I really couldn't see why. It always started in the morning when I would actually get up and turn my alarm off, and I would look back at my bed, that one right there, and I would feel just overwhelming desire to go back into bed. Usually when I was probably not motivated, I'd say disciplined to just go do the work, because it was never a single day where I wanted to go out there and run. But man, I just couldn't get over that desire to go back into bed. And over those 2 weeks, I just kept getting back into bed. I kept not delaying. I kept indulging in that instant gratification instead of just delaying it. After that 3 mile run, I could be treated to a nice hot shower and then some breakfast. No, I kept choosing to go to sleep for maybe 3 more hours and then go into school, all kind of groggy. I'm not gonna lie. The earlier I wake up and the earlier I work out, the better I perform in school. So overall, I think the thing that was hurting me most for my productivity was just not waking up and getting things early. Good news is, about 2 days ago, I would say today, I've really gotten the hang of it. I've solved that issue. I know exactly what the problem was. And hopefully through this video, if anyone's suffering through the same thing that I went through, and if anyone's suffering through the same thing that I went through, and you just don't know how to get over this rut, how to overcome this slump, I'm going to teach you a few things that I did. Maybe it'll work for you. I'm not saying like treat this as law or something, but this is something that I recognize that helped me move. So the first thing that I recognized is that I really didn't have a reason to get up and work out. Usually I would just turn my brain off for these 2 weeks and be like, okay, we just gotta go run. It's just the way it is. The goals that I used to have were almost plastered into my mind, and I wasn't really being reminded of all that, of what it meant. And overall, just becoming better wasn't a priority because I didn't realize what it was leading me towards. It was just something I did now. It's just part of me. So when I really had no reason to get up and do something that sucked as bad as that, well, there really was no reason to not get back into bed, right? If it's just what you do, why not go back into some comfort if there's nothing really to go do that for? There's no reason behind it. That was the first issue that I noticed. I kept getting up and I kept giving myself this excuse and like, hey man, you're not really like, what are you doing this for? And internally, I really couldn't answer that question. That made me ultimately default back into my bed because I had no reason to get out there and do the work. And I guess you could be like, oh man, I do that just because I like the hard work. I like the hard work. If that's a strong enough reason for you, that's completely fine. But for me, I'm one of the type of people that need to look at it big picture. I need to overall look at what my progress is going towards. So one of these days, I just sat myself in my room and like, why am I doing this? Why am I trying to read books? Why am I trying to meditate? Why am I trying to work out? Why am I doing all this? I realized that it's a major thing of just pursuing my purpose. It's just what I want to do. But I also looked at the benefits that would come from it. I just looked at the overall goal and what it led me towards. Not only the pursuit of my purpose, but the byproducts of that. Maybe my family wouldn't be as burdened as I would like, as they would be right now, right? Maybe if I could handle myself financially and physically, not only my family's burden would be lightened, but as a byproduct of that, I would just become more confident knowing that I can take care of myself and the people I love. And on top of that, I'm striving towards my goals. Just for a constant reminder, maybe your goal isn't as grandiose as that or as broad as that. Maybe your goal is literally as simple as this, just trying to get a girlfriend. Maybe your goal is as simple as getting 10K this month. Maybe it's that smart, tangible goal. The thing that I need you to do is not just ingrain and remind yourself of that goal, but keep it up on a wall or on your phone wallpaper. The thing that worked for me is that I went to go turn my phone alarm off every morning. So the first thing I saw every morning at 4 a.m. was that reminder. Hey man, you know what the overall goal is. I didn't even have to write, oh, go get the girl or go get the money. Like, I just remembered, just put on overall goal. Just anything that could remind you of why you're doing this, and that would be a strong enough reason to get you up and out of bed. Because if you don't have any reason to do it, you're not going to do it. So as an actionable step, if you don't do it, well then you're probably never going to get out of this, I'm not going to lie. Memorize which way you face when you wake up. So I get up and out of this bed and I look this way to where the camera's pointing. Behind the camera, there's a paper right there that has my overall goal of just 10K subs on this, and the word dissatisfaction, which just reminded me of the point where I was at, where my life was at the worst possible point ever, and I knew that I needed to change. That word of 10K subs and the word of dissatisfaction was way more than enough to get me over that slump, because I finally had something to fight for. I finally had something to better myself for. So get a simple piece of paper, just write down any reminder for your goal and just tape it on your wall. The way that you wake up in the morning. If I would wake up and look at that wall, I would have put the paper over there, because it's the first thing I see in the morning. I would be reminding myself of why I'm getting up and grinding every day. The number one most important thing to staying consistent and getting out of any rut that you're in is reminding yourself of why you're doing all of it. You can't do anything without a reason. As much as you want to be David Goggins, as he says, perform without purpose, we're not all like him. We all want to be like him. I promise I want to be there too, but we're not there yet. We could be, but we still need to remind ourselves of why we're doing this. So, actionable step, put your goal on the wall, remind yourself of it. Put it on your phone. The second and last thing that I want to talk about for getting out of a rut, once you're back into it, once you've realized your potential or your overall goal, why you're getting back into it, chances are you haven't been doing this for a long time, maybe a week or two. So those 3 miles that I would have done every single day, I was not capable of running them as much as I would like to. So the first thing that you have to do when you actually get back into it is lower your ego. You're not where you wanted to be or where you used to be. So what you need to do is ease yourself back into it. So I'm gonna give you an example of what I did. I would get up out there 4 a.m. I would realize my potential. I would realize why I wanted to do this. I'd be like, okay, let's go out there. Let's at least go out there on the road. And when I got past my first mile, I was like, dang, this is not the same shape I used to be in. So I was like, okay, I've swallowed my pride and I realized that I need to exponentially get back to where I was at. So I settled for 1.5 miles. Then the next day I ran 1.5 miles a little bit quicker. Then I went to 2 miles, then 2.5 miles. Then eventually 3 miles, and then eventually 3.5. Thing is that you need to lower your ego when you get back into whatever you're trying to do, whether it be lifting weights at 4 a.m., whether it be deep work at 3 a.m. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. If in your rut you avoided any type of work that would now be deemed as almost impossible for you since you haven't done it in a while, you need to lower your ego, realize that you're not Superman. You need to ease yourself back into the work. And this also kind of follows the idea of delayed gratification. Yes, you're going to feel great after trying to do those 3 miles, be like, at least I tried, but that wasn't as effective as you would have liked it to be. So you need to swallow your pride, swallow your ego, be humble, and do as much as you can effectively for that day. And I promise, not only will you get back to where you were at, but you will probably escalate far beyond that level. But this is just my lesson for the week, man. This rut, I promise you, it can take a toll on your mental health, because in the back of your mind, you're thinking like, this is not where I'm supposed to go. This is not where I'm supposed to be. So if you just look at these 2 things that I told you, just remind yourself of your overall goal and ease back into it. I promise you're going to do great. Please consider liking and subscribe.